Let me ask you something before we even begin. Have you ever lived with someone you loved, trusted, even built a life with, and then one night, you hear something that makes you question everything? You try to brush it off, tell yourself it's just the wind, or maybe your imagination. But deep down, something shifts. Something clicks. And suddenly, all the little red flags you ignored come rushing back like a wave you can't stop. If you've ever had a moment where reality cracked just a little and the truth threatened to crawl through, you're going to want to hear this story until the very last second. Because I'm not just telling you what happened. I'm showing you how I found out something about my wife that no husband should ever have to discover. And yes, you will get your answer. Just stay with me because the moment it hits, it's going to hit hard. Now, I know how this sounds. You probably think it's just another creepy attic story, right? I get it. The internet is full of fake haunted house videos and clickbait titles. But I promise you what happened to me last night is 100% real. And if you stick with me, you're not just going to hear what was up there, you're going to understand why my wife almost begged, never to open that attic door.
She didn't just warn me.
She pleaded. And when someone you love looks you in the eye and says, "Never go up there," something inside you listens, at least for a while. But let me back up. Because this didn't just start last night. The footsteps, that was just the spark. The real story started months ago, maybe even before I noticed anything strange. See, my wife and I moved into this house almost 2 years ago. Quiet suburb, older place built in the 60s, had that classic charm people look for on Zillow. We got a great deal too, which looking back now should have been the first warning sign. I remember asking the realtor, "Why is it priced so low for this area?" And she just smiled and said, "Oh, it's just been on the market a long time. Older houses don't sell fast." I didn't think much of it at the time. Why would I? We were just excited to have a home to start a family in. Fresh paint, new carpet, big backyard, and that attic. Always locked. Always cold. And my wife made one thing clear from the very first day: don't open it. At first, I thought it was just storage. I mean, it makes sense, right? Maybe there's mold up there, or broken insulation, or mice, whatever. She even said, "There's nothing up there for you. Just leave it shut." And I did. For months. Because I trusted her. And she's never given me a reason not to. But there's a difference between trusting someone and ignoring your instincts. And last night, something happened that I can't explain away. I heard footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Deliberate. Like someone dragging their feet across old wood. Not creaking pipes. Not animals. Not wind. Footsteps. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let me be clear. I didn't run up there with a flashlight and a baseball bat. That's what every dumb horror movie character does. No, I froze. I literally sat on the edge of the bed, holding my breath like it would make me invisible. And the craziest part? My wife was fast asleep next to me, completely still. No tossing, no turning. Just peaceful. While something walked directly above our heads. You ever feel that kind of fear? Not the kind where your heart races, but the kind where your blood goes cold? That kind of fear makes you watch. Makes you wait. And I did. For over 20 minutes. Listening. Waiting for the sound again. And just when I thought I imagined it, that maybe it was just a dream, it happened again. 3 steps.
Pause.
2 more. Then silence. And here's where things really start to twist. This morning, I didn't say a word to my wife. I just watched her. Watched the way she got out of bed, brushed her hair, made her coffee like nothing happened. And then she turned to me, smiled, and said, "You didn't go up there, did you?" I didn't even have time to respond. The way she said it, so casual, like she knew something, like she heard it too. But she never acknowledged the noise. Never asked, "Did you hear anything weird last night?" Just straight to the question. "You didn't go up there, did you?" That's when I realized this isn't just about an attic. This is about what's hidden. And now I need answers. Because the look in her eyes this morning, that wasn't fear. It wasn't concern. It was relief. Like she was glad I didn't find something. Like she's hiding something up there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you everything. How I started piecing the truth together. what I found when I finally decided to break her rule, and how it changed everything I thought I knew about my wife. If you're the kind of person who loves true horror, real-life mysteries, or psychological thrillers based on actual events, this is the story you're not going to want to skip. It's not just about what's in the attic, it's about why it was hidden in the first place. And once you know, I promise you won't sleep the same tonight. But before I open that door, and I will open it, I need you to understand something important. If you've ever questioned someone you love, if you've ever wondered whether you really know them, then this story might hit a little closer to home than you think. So buckle up.
Grab a drink.
Turn off the lights if you dare. Because in just a minute, I'm going to take you back to the moment I finally climbed those attic stairs and the secret I found waiting for me in the dark. But first, let me tell you what I found under the floorboards before the footsteps started. I didn't tell you everything in the introduction, mainly because I didn't know how to explain it without sounding paranoid or, worse, like I was losing my mind. But when you find something hidden under your home, something that someone clearly went through a lot of effort to bury, it changes how you look at everything and everyone around you. The truth is, I found something weeks ago, before the footsteps started, tucked deep beneath the old floorboards in our bedroom closet. It was by accident. I dropped my watch, and when I bent down to get it, I noticed one of the wooden boards was slightly loose on one edge. You know when something just feels off? Not broken, just placed wrong. Like it was never nailed down properly in the first place. That kind of subtle, almost intentional imperfection. I pulled it up, expecting maybe dust or maybe even a mouse nest, but instead, I found a small metal box. Rusted on the edges.
Padlocked.
No name, no label. Just sitting there. My first thought wasn't fear, it was confusion. Why hide something like this? Why not just toss it in a drawer? I didn't tell my wife about it, and that was the first secret I kept from her in over 7 years of marriage. But something told me not to say a word, and I trusted that instinct. The box stayed under the bed for a few days while I figured out how to open it. When I finally cracked the lock with a cheap set of picks I ordered online, ironically labeled for hobbyists and escape rooms, what I saw inside made my blood run cold. It wasn't just the faded photographs of people I didn't recognize, some of them clearly decades old, taken in strange, windowless rooms. It wasn't even the handwritten notes in my wife's handwriting because, yes, I know her handwriting like I know my own. It was the dates. The timestamps. Some were years before I even met her. Some were recent. Too recent. Notes about routines. Observations. Lists of names. Some crossed out. One note just read, "Must not remember." Another said, "Do not open the attic. Not until it's time." And underneath that, a single name was circled twice in red, mine. The truth is, I wanted to confront her right then and there. But something stopped me. Fear? Maybe. But it wasn't just fear of what she'd say. It was fear of what she might do if I let her know I found the box. You don't live with someone for almost a decade without learning how to read the subtle shifts in their mood. The way her eyes dart when she's hiding something. The tone in her voice when she's trying too hard to sound normal. And lately, those shifts had become more frequent. Longer showers. Locked doors. Her phone never out of arm's reach. She even started talking in her sleep, whispering things I couldn't fully understand. Except one night, clear as day, I heard her say, "Don't let him go up there. Not yet. He'll remember." I pretended to be asleep, but I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe I wasn't the only one in this house with secrets. Maybe I was the secret. At this point, I started digging not just physically, but digitally. I searched the names I found in the box online, one by one. Most turned up nothing. A couple showed old obituary notices. One was a missing person from 2 towns over. And one, this one shook me, was a man who posted anonymously on a Reddit thread about wives with hidden lives. His username was gone, deactivated. His post only had 2 lines. "If she tells you not to go in the attic, run. They always say not to go up there. That's where the truth waits." It had one upvote. No replies. But the timestamp was from 2 years ago. The same week we moved into this house. I started seeing the house differently after that. Every sound became suspicious. Every corner held something unseen. There's a strange light fixture in the upstairs hallway that flickers only at night. Never during the day. The attic door itself isn't just locked, it's sealed. Painted over around the edges. Like someone wanted to make sure it wouldn't accidentally open even if someone tried. There's no keyhole, just a round, metal plate bolted to the wood, almost like a hatch. I don't know what's up there, but something about the way it's been hidden, covered, disguised, warned against. It's not just storage. It's not a place you forget about. It's a place someone wanted to erase. And then there's the phone call. This happened 3 nights ago. I woke up to a call at exactly 2:13 a.m. My phone didn't ring long, just 2 vibrations, then it stopped. No caller ID. When I picked it up, there was no voice on the other end, just a strange humming noise, like old radio static. I almost hung up until I heard a whisper cut through. One word, remember. Then silence. I sat up the rest of the night, staring at the attic door. I kept thinking, what am I supposed to remember? That same day, I checked the basement for the first time in weeks. It's small and damp, mostly unfinished concrete and exposed wires, nothing special. But I noticed something new, a small trail of white powder leading from the back wall to the stairs. It wasn't dust or flour. It was salt. A line of salt, broken in one spot. Like a barrier someone had put in place, and something had broken through. I didn't know what to make of it, and I still don't. But I took a picture of it, just in case. Since then, my wife hasn't mentioned the attic again. In fact, she's been more affectionate, more present. It's like she's trying to distract me, trying to make me forget everything else. But now that I've seen what I've seen, I can't forget. I won't forget. There's one more thing I haven't told you yet. Yesterday afternoon, when my wife was out shopping, I pulled out the old family albums she keeps in the living room cabinet. I was looking for anything. Maybe someone in the photos matched the ones I found in the box. But as I flipped through one of the albums, I found a photo that chilled me to the bone. It was dated 10 years ago, long before we met. She's standing in a field with 2 other people holding hands, smiling. Normal enough, until you look closely, because standing behind them, way in the background near the tree line, is a 4th figure.
Blurred. Faint.
Watching. I swear I've seen that same figure before, in a dream, in the attic, I'm not sure. But something about it felt real. Now here's where things take a turn I wasn't ready for. I ran the photo through an image enhancement app. You know, one of those free tools trending on TikTok that sharpens old pictures. It's not perfect, but what came out was enough to make my stomach drop. The blurred figure? It wasn't a stranger. It was me. A younger version. Same build, same hairline, same watch I got from my dad when I was 22. The photo was taken years before I ever met her. Years before we moved into this town. Yet there I was, standing in the shadows, looking directly at the camera. I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if I'm remembering something I've forgotten or forgetting something I was never supposed to remember. But the attic? Whatever is up there, it's connected to all of this. And I'm done pretending it's not. I can't sleep, I can't eat, and every night the footsteps get louder. My wife won't talk about it. My friends think I'm just stressed. But you, whoever's watching this video, you're the only one I can talk to. You're the only one who might believe me. And that's why I'm recording everything now. Because if something happens to me, if I disappear, or if this video stops suddenly, you'll know where to look. I'm not going to open the attic yet. Not tonight. But I've set up a camera. Motion detection. Night vision. The kind ghost hunters use. Yeah, I went that far. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to check the footage. If I make it through the night. Because earlier tonight, just as I was hitting record on this video, I heard a knock.
From inside the attic.
I didn't sleep at all that night, not even a few minutes. I stayed in the hallway, sitting in the dark with my back against the wall, my phone in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. I kept staring at the attic door like it might breathe or twitch or creak open on its own. The camera was on, the night vision was activated, and every small shift in the house made my skin crawl. Around 3:14 a.m., and I remember the exact time because I checked it on my phone with shaking hands, I heard the knock again. 3 short raps, like someone tapping their fingers slowly on a wooden desk. It wasn't loud, but it was deliberate, measured, and it came from behind the attic door. I held my breath and didn't move. Not an inch. I knew whatever was on the other side didn't want to break in. It wanted me to open it. That's when I realized this wasn't about hiding something anymore. It was about luring me in. At sunrise, I finally mustered the nerve to review the camera footage. I transferred it to my laptop, dragging the timeline forward, scanning for any flicker, any movement. For the first few hours, nothing. Static hallway, unmoving attic door, just me pacing occasionally in the frame. But at 3:13 a.m., the screen glitched, just for half a second. Enough to make the timestamp skip ahead a full minute. And when the video returned, something wasn't right. I rewound it again, this time watching frame by frame. And in that split-second glitch, a figure, tall, human-shaped but wrong in the way it moved, was standing in the hallway just behind me. Just there, staring, head slightly tilted. No face visible. Then it was gone. I paused the frame and just stared at the screen. It wasn't my wife. It wasn't anyone I knew. But I swear on everything, I've seen that silhouette before. Not in real life, but in dreams I've been having since I moved into this house. Dreams I never thought meant anything until now. That morning, I tried to act normal. I made coffee, sat with my wife at the breakfast table like everything was fine, but I couldn't stop looking at her. Her hands didn't shake. Her eyes didn't shift. It was like she knew exactly what had happened but was waiting for me to bring it up. Like she was testing me. So, I decided to test her. I casually mentioned hearing noises from the attic again. I watched for any reaction. She paused for a fraction of a second, just long enough to confirm she was calculating something, then smiled and said, "This house is old, remember? With shifts in the heat." But I caught it. That moment. That flicker of worry before she slid into the lie. And that's when I realized she doesn't know what's up there either. Or, at least, not anymore. Later that afternoon, I got a visit from someone I hadn't seen in over a decade, my wife's older brother, Mark. He showed up without warning, just rang the doorbell like it was a casual drop-by. We hadn't seen him since our wedding, and she never talked about him, ever. I always thought they'd had a falling out or that he was estranged from the family. But he looked healthy, calm, too calm. He hugged her, looked at me, and said, "Hey, heard you're working on the house. Any plans to fix that old attic?" That line, so casual, so rehearsed, made every hair on my body stand up. He knew. He knew. And I played dumb. I said, "Nah, I heard it's sealed up. Haven't touched it." His smile didn't move an inch, but his eyes darkened just a little. "Probably best to leave it that way," he said. Some things don't like being disturbed. That night, while my wife was showering, I searched Mark's name online. No socials. No LinkedIn. Barely any digital footprint at all. But I found one thread buried on an old paranormal forum, something trending now thanks to the surge in haunted house content on YouTube and TikTok. The thread was titled, "They Watch From Above." A user named Mark82 wrote a long post about houses built on forgotten grounds, about attics that weren't made for storage, but for containment. "If they're locked," he wrote, "it means someone tried to stop the cycle. But it never works. They always find a way back in." He ended the post with a warning. "If your attic door knocks, never answer. They're not knocking for you. They're knocking for what's inside you." The post was dated 4 months before we moved in. I didn't know what that meant at first, but then things started making more sense, if that's even the right word. The dreams I've been having lately aren't random. They're vivid, repeating, always the same. I'm in the attic, standing in the corner, staring down at a crib. A woman stands beside me, but her face is blurred. Not hidden, blurred like a photo out of focus. She whispers something over and over. He doesn't remember. He can't remember. It's not time yet. Then the crib starts to shake, and I wake up sweating. Every single night. When I told a friend, someone I trust, they said I should get a sleep study done. I agreed, just to prove I wasn't losing it. But here's the twist that shook me. The clinic reviewed my overnight EEG data and called me in personally. The technician looked nervous, like he wasn't sure how to phrase it. He said, "You've experienced episodes of sleep talking." Phrases repeated. One sentence stood out. "You said it 4 times." I asked him what it was, and I swear he looked scared when he read it back. I'd said, "Don't let her put me back in the attic." I never told anyone about the dreams. I never told anyone about the crib. So how could I have said that? And who was I talking about? My wife? Myself? Someone else entirely? That's when the real paranoia began. I started doubting everything. Was this really my house? Was this really my life? Or was I remembering something from another version of it? Something buried and rewritten? Because the attic, it's not just part of the house. It's part of me. And now here's where the stakes get darker. I found another box, this time hidden in the crawl space under the basement stairs. It wasn't locked. Inside were VHS tapes labeled by year. Old handwriting. I don't even have a working VHS player anymore, so I borrowed one from a local thrift store and sat down alone to watch the first tape. The footage was grainy, shaky, like it had been recorded with an old camcorder. A child's birthday party. Nothing strange at first. Balloons.
Cake. Singing.
But when the camera turned, I saw my wife. Younger. Holding a child I didn't recognize. Then, the camera person says, "Get him in the frame too." The camera turns again, and I saw something that made my blood run cold. It was me, standing in the background. But I wasn't just there, I was older. My current age. In a tape from 20 years ago. And I was staring directly at the lens. I shut off the tape. I couldn't breathe. Because now it's clear, this isn't just about a haunted house or a creepy attic.
This is about time.
Memory. Identity. The attic doesn't just hold a secret. It holds a version of me I'm not supposed to remember. And someone or something is trying to bring it back. Or worse, put it back where it belongs. The real question isn't what's in the attic anymore. It's who built it. And why my name is written under the floorboards. And just now, this very moment, I heard my wife call my name from upstairs. But she just left 10 minutes ago to go grocery shopping. I watched her pull out of the driveway. So, who's in the house with me? I'm going up there. The moment I heard my wife's voice call my name from upstairs, when I knew she wasn't home, I stopped breathing. It wasn't just eerie, it was wrong. It was exactly her voice, but there was something underneath it, like an echo trying too hard to mimic what it once was. I grabbed the knife again, the same dull kitchen blade I'd been clutching for days, and made my way up the creaking stairs. The hallway felt stretched, like the air itself was pulling back, bracing for something. I could feel it in my chest, tight, like gravity had shifted. Every step toward the attic door made the hairs on my neck rise until I was finally face to face with it, that sealed panel I'd been warned about since the day we moved in. I reached out, half expecting it to still be painted shut. It wasn't. The bolts were gone. The hatch was slightly open. No wind. No light. Just a sliver of blackness, waiting like a mouth mid-whisper. I pushed it open. The attic was cold. Not just chilly, but unnatural, like the kind of cold that settles in hospitals or mausoleums, the kind of cold that feels intelligent. The first thing I noticed wasn't what I saw. It was what I smelled. Dust, yes, but also something older. Something like burnt paper, mothballs, and decaying wood soaked in rainwater. As I stepped inside, the floor groaned beneath me, not because of my weight, but like it was reacting. Like it knew I didn't belong. And then, finally, I saw it. The crib. Just like the one from my dreams. Not new. Not old. Timeless. And beside it, standing as still as a statue, was a figure. My wife. Or, at least something wearing her face.
She didn't look at me.
She didn't even flinch. She just stood there, facing the crib, hands clasped in front of her like she was mourning something that hadn't died yet. I whispered her name. No response. I stepped closer, every instinct screaming at me to turn around. She slowly turned, and for the first time, I realized it wasn't her. The eyes weren't human. Not alien either, just hollow. Like a mirror that only reflects what it wants you to see. And when she spoke, it wasn't in her voice anymore. It was mine. "You were never supposed to come back here," it said. I froze. We buried you in the cracks. We stitched over the seams. We gave you a new name, a clean slate, and you remembered anyway. That's when everything started spinning. All the dreams, the photograph with the figure in the background, the videotape where I was already there, the box of names. I wasn't living someone else's story. I was circling back to my own. I looked down into the crib expecting to see a child, but it wasn't a baby. It was a stack of journals, dozens of them, all handwritten, all in my handwriting, each dated with years I hadn't lived yet. I opened one and saw entries, notes, details, memories of a life I hadn't experienced yet. I flipped to the last page of the top journal and read the final line. When you open the attic, you reset the loop. The truth is the infection. The lie is the cure. My heart pounded so hard I couldn't hear. That's when the attic shifted again, like a lens being adjusted. The light changed, and I wasn't in the house anymore. I was in a white room, padded,
Bright. Silent.
and across from me, behind a thick sheet of glass, was a man hooked up to machines, breathing.
Still.
Nurses passed by. One stopped, glanced toward the window, and nodded. I backed away slowly, unsure of what I was even seeing. Then I caught my reflection in the glass. And the man on the bed behind it. We were the same. Same scars. Same face. Same watch. The man in the bed was me. The voice came again, this time from overhead speakers. He's relapsing again. That part of the memory loop failed containment. Prepare for reset. Everything went white, then black. And then I woke up. Back in bed. In the house. Sunlight spilling through the blinds like nothing had happened. My wife standing at the doorway smiling. You overslept, she said, like it was any ordinary day. Want pancakes? I stared at her, waiting for the mask to slip, for the voice to shift, for the attic to knock. But nothing came. Just the smell of breakfast. A normal day. Maybe that's what scared me the most. I walked to the hallway. The attic door was sealed again. Painted over. The bolts rusted shut. The footage from the night before?
Gone.
The VHS tapes? Missing. The journals? Nowhere. But one thing was different. Under my bed was the same small box I'd found weeks ago. Only now it was empty. Except for one single note. My handwriting. 3 words. Don't open it. And now I can't help but wonder, how many times have I done this before? How many times have I remembered too much? How many loops have they reset? Or worse, how many versions of me are still trapped inside that attic, whispering to get out? So if you're watching this and you ever hear footsteps above you in the middle of the night, don't ignore it. Don't go looking. Because once you open that door, once you see what's waiting, you can't unsee it. You might think you're solving a mystery, but you're really just restarting a nightmare. And if someone you love ever tells you not to open the attic, listen. Because next time the knock might be for you.